What's up, guys? Welcome to Movie Importance Flashback Reviews, where we take movies from our past, break them down, and tell you what we think about it. If you like what you see, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell at the top if you want to find out what's coming next, and comment below on any of these videos. So today I'm going to talk about a movie that's literally almost 35 years old. It's pretty crazy because I've seen this movie many times. It's one of the few video game slash game movies that was actually not only successful, but it was actually good. As we know, video game movies are pretty terrible. There's only a handful of movies, Mortal Kombat or Jumanji, that are somewhat decent. And I think this is the best. And of course, that is 1985's Clue. This is a movie that's directed and, of course, written by Jonathan Lynn, who did My Cousin Vinny. I did a review if you want to watch it. It's also storied by John Landis, who you know is doing a bunch of famous 80s movies. And it's produced by Debra Hill, who did a lot of John Carpenter movies. So if you've seen his movies up to a certain point, because unfortunately she passed away, you know who she is because of her credits and so on and so forth. But Clue is a very funny movie. It's a very just quotable movie, and it has a lot of humor and heart to it. But it's also zany. It's also goofy. It doesn't make a lot of sense when you really consider it, and especially when you sit down and watch it and you think about it like I did. But if you can turn off your brain, you're going to have a lot of fun with it. And I got to read off this cast list because it's insane how good these people are and who is in this movie. Because I was reading it and I was thinking about it. It's incredible. So we have Eileen Brennan, who plays Mrs. Peacock, Madeline Kahn, who plays Mrs. White, Christopher Lloyd, who plays Professor Plum, Michael McKean, who plays Mr. Green, Martin Mull, who plays Colonel Mustard, Lesley Ann Warren, who plays Miss Scarlet, Tim Curry, who plays Wadsworth, Colleen Camp, who plays Yvette, Ving, who plays Mr. Body, and Bill Henderson, who plays the cop. That is one of the best cast lists of any movie I've ever seen, and I've seen a lot of good cast lists. Batman Begins is one of those best cast lists. It's a movie that works because of that cast, because of Michael McKean and Madeline Kahn and Lee Brennan and Christopher Lloyd and Martin Mull and so on and so forth. Tim Curry, of course, because Tim Curry is the best part about this movie. And it wouldn't work if these guys weren't on their A games. This movie, of course, got mixed reviews. It didn't make a lot of money, but that cast alone just makes this movie more than it should be. This movie should be pretty terrible because it's a board game movie. It's about a bunch of characters who are convinced that each other murdered Mr. Body, which is the central storyline. And that's the central storyline to the board game. You have a character who's been killed, and you have to figure out who did it, where they did it, and what weapon they did with. And that's the start of the story, because the story is basically 7 characters who hold secrets, end up at this house, and you never find out their real names. You're given the code names, Miss Scarlet, Miss Peacock, Colonel Mustard, and so on and so forth. And there's a funny joke about that at the beginning with Martin Mull. He's like, my name is, we're just going to keep it as Colonel Mustard for now, which I really laughed about. But so they end up in this dinner party, and this character named Mr. Body comes in. He owns the house. He's confused about why they're there, but all the characters, because they hold secrets and because Mr. Body knows those secrets, he is going to blackmail each character unless they do something for him, or else he's going to expose them to the feds or the cops or so on and so forth. Well, he offers them the ability to kill Wadsworth and hide the secret, and everybody goes free. So he hands them the weapons, the famous weapons you see in the board game, and each character gets a separate weapon. And there's a really cool scene how they open each box, they see the weapon, they pull out the weapon, they're confused. When they're arguing and when they're trying to figure out what they want to do, the lights go out, there's a gunshot, Mr. Body is dead. When the lights come back on, everybody screams, nobody knows what's going on. Wadsworth's like, somebody killed him, but nobody's willing to admit, because who would admit to killing someone? But as the story goes along, more people die. Yvette dies, the cook dies, the cop dies, the singing telegram woman dies, and they become more and more erratic in their thinking, their logic, and become more like numb to the fact that everybody's dying. There's a really funny scene when everybody's dead, all the 4 characters, including Mr. Body, and they're just like walking around, and they're not even really reacting anymore because they've seen so much death and so much insanity, and it's a really fun thing to watch. But in the process, they're also split up. Wadsworth's like, we should split up. We should search the house, find out who the killer is. and the different characters are put together, and then you start to discover secrets about the house, different ways to get through to different areas, for instance like the study to get to the kitchen, without going into the main hall. And in the process, as the story moves along, the different characters I've just told you who have been killed, we see them being killed, but we never see who does it. And that's just an amazing part of the story, is we don't see who does it, we don't see why they do it, we just see the weapons they do it with. And it's like, when you start thinking about it, especially when the revelations happen, you're like, how is this possible? How are these characters who you have been following able to go to certain areas? Why they're being watched with each other? Because you see certain scenes with the different characters, and they're like constantly watching each other, making sure that another one's not going to murder the other one. And it's really funny to watch, but it doesn't make a lot of sense. That's why I said you got to turn your brain off. But then we get all the lead up, we all see all the murders happen, and then Miss Wadsworth, after everything's said and done, is like, I know who killed him. I know who killed these people. And he does like one of the most amazing performances of a movie that you'll ever see, where he's running chaotically through the house, going full tilt, full boogie, and just explaining what is going on, who did what, how it happened. He's not explaining who actually killed him, but he's like, this is how this happened, this is when this happened, this is this, and it just becomes a chaotic mess. And it's just because of the performance of Tim Curry, who is just so amazing in this role, that you're as confused as they are, because somebody killed him, but you don't know who did it, and this confuses you even more. But that's the brilliance of what Tim Curry is doing, and the setup and the nature of it, how it's played out. But as we get to the closure of this movie and we get our finale, we're going towards a finality of our ending. There is something so unique about the ending of this movie that it's never been done before. It probably will never be done again. And it's just complete brilliance. They took a thing like you would do when you're trying to fake the internet out, for instance, like Game of Thrones, who filmed a bunch of fake endings and threw them out there to kind of, mess people up and, create fake news and false stories about the endings of these stories, because they have to do that to protect the real secrets. But here, they filmed 3 endings, or at least they may have filmed more, but they filmed 3 endings, and they used those 3 endings to split off. They basically, okay, so they took one ending, they threw it into a whole bunch of theaters. They took the second ending, they threw it all into a bunch of other theaters, and they took the third ending, and they threw that into another set of theaters. So your friend could have gone to see Clue, I could have gone to see Clue, and your other friend could have gone to see Clue, and you could have gotten completely different endings. So you go into work the next day, you're like, oh, did you see Clue? I'm like, oh yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing when Miss Scarlet killed everybody. It's like, Miss Scarlet? What are you talking about? It was Miss Peacock. He's like, no, Miss Scarlet. She did it because of blah, 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 so on and so forth. Like, no, Miss Peacock did it because she was angry. Your friend is like, that's not what I saw. I saw, everybody killed one person of each character killed another character. And Wadsworth, killed the singing telegram woman or whatever. And then you're getting all confused. You're like, oh, so they're doing like the board game, which is really clever, because if you play the board game, the story is completely different every time you play it. So you're not getting the same story. So it could be Mr. or Mrs. Peacock with the wrench in the study. The next game could be Colonel Mustard with the gun, with the pistol in the library or something like that. It's brilliant if you think about it. It's one of the most perfect things I've ever seen. And when it came out in the whole video, they actually put them all together. They had a little cool interstitials in between, like, this is how it could have happened, this is how it really happened. And that's just brilliant marketing, and that's just brilliant storytelling. When you're able to throw out different endings, and people have different reactions to it, and people get different takes on it, that's awesome. And it's just an amazing thing. I can't believe that they were able to do that, and that the theaters were willing to do that. Or maybe they didn't know. Maybe it was just a perfect throwaway or whatever. But I like it. I think it's funny. I think it's a brilliant way to market a movie. But anyways, like I said, this movie has a lot of great humor, has a lot of great one-liners. There's a line where Wadsworth goes, I'm going to come out and expose myself. And one of the characters goes, hey, not in front of the ladies. There's stuff like that that's really funny. And there's, the one where why is J. Edgar Hoover calling you? I don't know, it's J. Edgar Hoover, and there's a joke with that, and there's so many different funny things. And at the very end, Michael McKean goes, "I'm gonna go home and sleep with my wife," or no, he's like, "I killed Mr. Body in the hall with the revolver," and he's like, "I'm gonna go home and sleep with my wife." And it's just like, it just ends right there, and it's just really funny. And like I said, every actor, every actress, anybody in this movie was given the script, and I'm sure they've looked at it and they thought this was the most absurd thing they've ever read, but they went with it. For some reason they all signed with it, and we got great cast out of it and great moments out of it. And Tim Curry just led the charge in this movie, and his fast-paced talking and his fast-paced running and his ability to just go with the moment. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a lot of improvising in this movie, because it sure felt like these characters, these actors, did a lot of that, because it's bonkers. I know John Landis had a take in this with his story, but man, it's so funny. It's so off the cuff, some of the humor in this movie. And like I said, I don't know. It's a brilliant movie. It's a beautiful movie. It's a funny movie. It's an absurd movie. But you have to turn your brain off, because it won't make any sense when you watch it. And it's only like an hour and 30 minutes, so it runs smoothly. And I think that's why it works, is it's quickly paced, it moves, it doesn't stop for anything, and it lets the characters just do their thing and have fun with it. And they're oblivious to the whole thing, so you're almost like one step ahead. You kind of think about it, but then things are thrown in the wrench and you just don't understand what's going on. But it's Clue. It's a movie that a lot of people have seen. It has a cult following and is one of the best comedies ever made. So, but that's it. That's my take on Clue. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you think of Clue. But otherwise, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell at the top to find out what's coming next, and comment below on any videos that you watch. But otherwise, we'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out. What's up, guys? Thank you so much for checking out Movie Emporium. I really appreciate it. If you want to, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification button and the bell at the top. Find out what's coming next for Movie Emporium. Also, check out these 2 videos. They're amazing. I think they're awesome. I think you'll enjoy them too. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.